All right, this is for Algebra 2. I'm going to pick up the review work from page 127 in your textbook. I have my paper prepared for graphing these inequalities. And actually, I just lost a pencil. That's all right. I can get myself a pencil. Here we go. So in the first inequality, I'm going to draw my boundary line, and in doing so, I'm just going to treat this like it's an equals, like y equals x plus 7, and then I'll deal with the inequality once I get started graphing. It's going to hit the y-axis at 7. Good thing I made this. And then the slope is 1 over 1, so up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1. I can also go down 1 and left 1. Rise over run is 1 over 1. I can treat it as negative 1 over 1. Now I'm going to look at my inequality symbol now that I've got the boundary line greater than or equal to. Because of the or equal to, this is going to be a solid line. And then this is greater than or equal to, so the x-axis would continue up this way. And as I've explained to you before, when we have it in our y equals or y is greater than setup, we look at where it hits the y-axis, and this is going to give me the indication that I should shade the half plane above this. Shading above. Now, in class on Wednesday, we actually were working pretty extensively with absolute values, just to remind us how to graph. What I know about this is that I always want to start out using the idea that my parent function, the parent function just being y equals absolute value of x, would sit right at with a vertex at 0, 0. And then I start considering the different components of this graph, or this inequality, and what it's going to do. From 0, 0, this plus 3 on the inside is going to tell me that I need to move my vertex 3 units to the left. This minus 3 on the outside is going to tell me I need to move my vertex 3 units down. So again, I'm using the idea of y equals absolute value of x and just making the adjustments based on what's here. This 2, I need to treat it as a rise over run. This is going to make my absolute value function look skinnier than what the parent function is, because this is going to take me from this point up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, and up 2 to the left 1 to get that absolute value V shape. Let me just continue here. Now, because this is, and I could keep going, but I'm just going to use my ruler at this point, because this is a strictly greater than, I'm going to make this a dashed line when I go and create my V. Making that a dashed line here. I really do think the work we did in class on Wednesday helped immensely. And then y is greater than means I'm going to shade all the things that are above this. So I adjusted my vertex, moved it 3 left, 3 down, treated the rise over run as 2 over 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the left 1, following that pattern. Dash line because it doesn't have or equals to, and then shaded above for greater than. Number 29. Clearly I'm going through these pretty quickly, but what I need you to do is use these videos. I'm going to solve 29 for y. Use these videos on your own at home. I'm actually going to treat it like an equals, and I'm going to solve it for y and put it into y equals form. Y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to take 4x's away from both sides. Negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 2. Now, this one's going to get interesting because my y-intercept is going to be at a fraction place. I see this coming because of this. Y equals 4/3 x minus 2/3. So it's going to hit the y-axis at 2/3, which is going to be approximately, at negative 2/3, yeah. Negative 2/3 is going to be approximately right there. Now, from there, I've got to go up 4. So I actually have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm still on like these 2/3 pieces, and to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 3. Now I started out with, let me put this symbol back in here, it was less than. It was less than. What happened was, as I divided by a negative number, so in the end here it's got to be treated as a greater than. I'm going to draw my line as a dashed line. I'm going to draw it dashed. And I'm going to shade everything above the line. So this inequality, when I put it into y equals mx plus b form, I got it to graph a little easier. Number 30. Number 30 is getting us to graph an absolute value equation again. This is just a straight up equation. So let's think about how, if I compare this to my parent function, y equals absolute value of x, sitting at 0, 0. I need to move the vertex. The plus 2 is going to move my vertex 2 units left. The minus 3 on the outside is going to move it down. Now, from here, this is a negative half. So the negative value tells me that my v is going to be opening down now. My absolute value function is going to be going down. And it's going to get fatter. I'm going to go down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the right 2, down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2. This is not an inequality unless I missed something. Let me look at my graph. Oh, it sure is. It absolutely is an inequality. I missed this here. This is y is less than or equal to. Okay, good. I'm glad I looked because I've got to do some shading. The or equal to makes it a solid line. And the fact that it's less than, quiz is right there. The fact that it's less than means that everything below needs to be shaded. There's that crowd. Okay, moving on, Algebra 2, page 127, the review problems. This is the 33 through 36 group. I feel like even just with the work that I was just doing on the problems, the graphs before this should make graphing these absolute values a lot easier. These are all equations, but hopefully after Wednesday's lesson, this is all going well for everybody. When I prep my paper, I guess I forgot to do this. So parent function, this is our parent function. On the outside here just tells me my parent function is going to move down 4 units. And I'm just using that slope, that idea of rise over run being 1 and going to the left 1 to make that V shape. Absolute value of x minus 4 has the exact same shape as the parent function, but just slid down the y-axis. Oh, that was part of this. So this will, just describing it, this will take the vertex down 4 units. Now, as I draw my x and y plane for number 34, that minus 1 inside the absolute value fences is going to take my vertex and move it to the right 1. And this minus 5 on the outside is going to move my vertex down 5. So, and then it's going to still take on the same shape as the parent. What did I say? Right 1, down 5, and then I'm just going to build up and over by 1s. There's that one. Now, what's going to happen here as I'm drawing my x and y axis? The negative sign out front is going to flip my V, so it's going to be an upside down V. The plus 4 inside the fences, the plus 4 is going to move my vertex left 4, and the plus 3 on the outside is actually going to move my vertex up 3. So this will flip the function. This will move it left. Did I say left when I was talking about it? This will move it up. So left 4, up 3, and then flip it over, so my V starts being formed this way. Cool. Make sure you keep all your papers and whatnot together for these review problems at the end of class. Hopefully you can get those things together, ready to staple or get them stapled today. Go back and watch any parts of this video that you have to at home tonight. The next piece is going to be our calculator work. You'll have to practice that in class, but I'm intentionally going to do number 37 step by step over the video here. Okay, so what's happening here? This 2 out front is going to make my absolute value function get skinnier. It's going to take me up 2 to the right 1 as opposed to up 1 over 1. This is going to move my vertex left 1. So left 1 on the x-axis, and then it's going to get skinnier. Up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the right 1, up 2 to the left 1, up 2 to the left 1. So we know how this function is going to act in the shape of a V. So there we go. Draw it in. Draw it in. Perfect. Now, number 37. In number 37, I'm going to put my book up here in the video because in 37 we've got a table of data. In the table of data, it needs to go into our calculator. So in my calculator, I am at, whoa, talk about the wiggle wiggle. In my calculator, I'm in Stat and Edit. Remember, if you have to clear anything out of the list, you arrow to the top, you hit clear, and you arrow down. Make a scatter plot of the data. I'm going to do that on my calculator and sketch it. Draw a trend line, write its equation. I'm going to use the regression formula, the regression function on the calculator to do that. And then we have to make estimations based on the regression equation and explain how to make a trend line to make predictions. So what I'm going to do, how to use a trend line to make predictions. Awesome. Scatter plot of the data. Let's get the years in first. I'm going 2000 to 2009. The one thing about this table is that you have to recognize that in this table, it continues from the left side to the right side. We just keep going with our years, 2008, 2009. I hope that you're moving along with me during this video in class, just going through the motions of practicing this. 2200, 2700, 2005, 2750. 3200. Cool. Once I have the data in L2 and L3, I'm going to make a scatter plot of it. And the scatter plot you can just copy onto your page. I'm going to hit second Y equals to get to the stat plot menu. And in the stat plot menu, I'm going to go in and turn plot 1 on. I'm going to choose that type. My data is sitting in L1 and L2. Once I have that there, I'm going to hit a zoom and a number 9. Let me try that again. Clear, zoom, 9. There we go. That's what the scatter plot for this data looks like. So you could go on your paper and then just do a quick sketch of it. So I'm on my paper, and I'm not trying to make a real great graph here. I just want you to put years down here, and I want you to put cost up here. This was all about family vacation. So as years went by, the costs increased, and then I'm just going to kind of sketch what I see. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there's the idea. Now, the trend line, let me go get stat calc. That's going to be our linear regression equation. So I go to stat calc number 4, and I calculate what that trend line is going to be. So my trend line coming out of my calculator is y equals 187.58x. It's about money. It's all about money. So I'm going to write that as 58 cents. What I'm seeing here is every year the price is, wow, this is a really interesting y-intercept. Every year the price is going to go up about $188. That's what this means in the context. And then my y-intercept is about 373,000 negative. We're not going to get down there because remember, this is year 2000 and it went up to what? Stat edit. We were at 2000 to 2009. So we really are truncating this graph when we're looking at it in this place. So I would expect this line to go through the graph like that. Now let me address some of the other questions that are going on here. Estimate the amount the Jackson family will spend on vacations in 2015. And as I'm talking through this, this should help formulate your answer for the last part of this. Explain how to use a trend line to make a prediction. So what I'm going to do is, since this trend line is the model for the situation based on past vacations and the amount, I'm going to use it as a predictor to figure out, well, if it keeps increasing as much as I'm talking about here, like $187.58 in 2015, what's that amount going to be? Now, I'm going to go back into my calculator, and I'm going to use the equation 187.58 times 2015 minus 373,431. So what I'm getting here is an estimate of about $4,543. So approximately $4,543 is going to be my estimate by plugging this in. And what I would like to say about this is it really is based on if the same trend continues. I stopped in 2009. But if the trend of vacations being more expensive year after year continues, then I could expect to spend just over $4,500 in 2015. Good luck. Your test is Friday. Make sure you've got anything prepared to turn in that's later missing, and get all of your papers together for this assignment from page 127 in your book, 5 through 10, 27 to 30, 33 to 36, and 37. See you in class on Friday.